This thing is telling us that we're live. What's going on, guys? Before we get started, I want to say thanks to our friends from Fusion Medical Staffing. Listen, you worked hard and you got a license, right? You're a licensed physical therapist assistant. You want to do what you want to do, which is, wow, just be a great clinician, take care of people. And you want to do that where you want to do it. So do that, right? Let your PT or PT license take you where you want to go. So find out more, fusionmedstaff.com. We're going to talk about that today. What is travel physical therapy? It comes up a lot. We're going to get to the bottom of it. You hear it on this show. Those guys help and support the program. We're going to get to the bottom of it. So I always like to say, like, let that license take you wherever you want to go. And we're going to do that with the episode today. Let's talk about travel PT. Let's officially start the show. Let's do this thing. All right, we started the show now officially started the show. What's going on, guys? My name is Jimmy McKay. I am a physical therapist. I'm the host tonight for PT Pintcast, a podcast that saves physical therapists from missing out on amazing insight, remarkable ideas, and motivational stories in the world of physical therapy. Hi, glad that you guys are here. We're on the socials at PT Pintcast. That's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, as you can see on the screen. Also broadcasting this via YouTube. We do the show live Wednesday nights. So make sure you subscribe via the socials so you never miss an episode. And then subscribe to the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast. You can do it Google, Stitcher Radio, wherever podcasts are heard. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a great episode. We are, as I mentioned, broadcasting this live. I do like to see where the audience is located. So if you're watching live, just drop below the word live. And then where you are. I'm always fascinated by where this show actually spreads to and how it gets there. So just drop live and where you are, or replay and where you are replaying this video from as well. Always fascinated by that. So excited for tonight's episode. Let's get our guests in tonight. First, let's bring in somebody from one of our newest sponsors helping to support the show. Let's bring in the studio. Let's bring in Maddie Landstrom. Maddie, welcome to the show. Come on in. There she is.
Hey. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. You are well branded. Look at Maddie.
Thank you.
Maddie,
I'm a marketer.
I'm confused. For whom do you work? Who do you work for?
Okay. This may come as a surprise. I work for Fusion Medical Staffing. Hope you guys have heard of it. I think you said it about 10 times in the beginning, but just in case you forget, I have it about 17,000 places.
I mean, you know, the best form of marketing really is repetition, subliminal marketing. Like, I don't know where we'd get the logo on the show.
Would you look at that? Oh,
I'm sorry. How did that get there? We just kind of snuck that one in there. Maddie, welcome to the show. We do want to say thanks for you and the team supporting the program. And whenever we do an episode about travel PT, or if it comes up, we tend to see that episode get a lot of attention. So I'm excited tonight. But we're not just talking with you. You've got some people coming with you. So let's bring in Don. Who is Don? Introduce you. You do Don's introduction. I'll give you the
sure.
There you go.
Don, welcome to the stage. He is one of our therapy managers here at Fusion. So he works right in the weeds with all of our travel therapists. He's been here. Well, Don, you can tell us forever.
So I had my seventh year anniversary with Fusion. Been in therapy for 16 years now.
Yes.
So, yep.
I get the boom shakalaka right there.
Yeah. He's an OG.
So we do have a surprise guest. We're not going to bring her in just yet because she's our ace in the hole, right? So you're going to listen to Maddie and Don talk about travel PT, because I heard of travel PT when I was a student, but a lot of information, well, a lot of things you hear in the hallways at PT school, shockingly, turn out to not be exactly as you thought, or as it was described in the hallway from your classmates. It's like the game of telephone, right? Things get repeated and they get distorted just a little bit. It's like photocopy per photocopy. So I'll throw this out to both you guys, because you guys get this question a lot. Travel physical therapy, how do you describe what it is? What do travel physical therapists get to do, and where do they get to do it?
Sure. So Fusion, for starters, we staff in all 50 states for travel therapy. The very basic definition of travel therapy is 13-week contracts. We work with all medical settings across the country, and you're there for a maternity leave, a long surgery absence, maybe a census spike in the area, or they just need some extra staffing help and they come to Fusion to fill those staffing needs. So a multitude of reasons why you would jump into a facility to help them as a traveler.
Don, how'd she do?
She did really good. No, she did really good. I think, like you said in school, they kind of tell you it's secondary. It's not secondary. It could be primary. And for me, it's like when I talk to a new grad or I talk to anybody, yes, if somebody's already worked out there, it might be something, well, my kids are in high school, I'm going to go do it now. But for a new grad, it's like, okay, this is I want to do this, but if you do multiple settings, they may think or want to do something differently down the road that they never even thought of.
Yeah.
And for them, it's just like, hey, I want to do outpatient, but they get into skilled or they get into home health or they get into something that they never even thought about, and they love it because they just never really experienced it. And I would say over 50% of them don't do what they originally thought they were going to do.
That happens. I had classmates who were locked in on doing something, and they were like day one, and I was kind of one of those stem cells where I was like, I don't really know, I'm just going to kind of go with this. And wouldn't you know, like 90% of those locked in, I'm definitely going to go to this setting, all change their mind in 3 years, all of them.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we get this tough. We do the tough questions first. So now we've covered like the overview, really what is travel therapy. What are we drinking tonight? What is in the glasses and the cups?
You want to break the news, John?
Coors Lights.
Coors Lights.
It's a silver bullet. I'm doing a Juice Bomb IPA. Thank you to Fusion for giving me a tumbler.
There you go.
I mean, you just feel classier when you do it from a tumbler. So cheers to you guys.
Cheers. Marketing, my name. I didn't want anyone to forget.
That's smart.
Got it all.
First round brought to you by our friends from Owens Recovery Science. They're a single source of PTs looking for certification in personalized blood flow restriction rehabilitation training. The BFR, as the cool kids are calling it. Some breaking news. Tiger Woods, you guys see that? Kind of rollover car accident.
Yeah.
I mean, all the details I know is crush injury, which is, it's devastating. Wishing Tiger the best, but that is a situation. We saw Johnny Owens earlier today sharing crush injuries, a lot of great rehabilitation with BFR. So check them out, OwensRecoveryScience.com. That's the hardest question you guys are going to get the whole day is what are we trying? So now we know what travel physical therapy is. What are some like common misconceptions? Because like Maddie, you said you did a lunch and learn today, which is where you guys kind of go interact with students as a group, and you just slay. You are mythbusters for all those things and getting into it. What are some of the things you guys can go back and forth with?
Sure.
Some of those things that come up a lot that you're like, a lot of people think this, but it actually is this. So where do you want to start?
I would say one of the biggest misconceptions or questions that we get, especially from new grads, is, do you tell me where to go? Like, am I in the military? Am I just signing up? And then, like just being forced to go here and then there. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. As a traveler with Fusion, you are in the driver's seat. So it's entirely your choice where you want to go. Our recruiters and client managers are there to help you and guide you into what could be a potential opportunity, but when it comes down to it, it's entirely your choice, whether you're a new grad or a seasoned therapist. So I would say thinking that you have to be forced to go somewhere is one of the bigger misconceptions for sure.
Get that out of the way first, right? And I heard we were at some conference, we were hanging out and you were answering this question for the umpteenth time. And you said, look, just think about it like this. Would you guys, as an organization that staffs healthcare providers, would you ever want to put a healthcare provider in a location that they maybe didn't want to be in or weren't a good fit? No.
Yeah.
So just think about it from that point of view, and you'll get to that answer, which is, so if you sign up, it's not like, hey, you're in boot camp and then you're going where we tell you. Not the case. All right. So we want to get that out of the way first. Dom, what do you got? What's the big misconception that comes up?
I was just kind of thinking about that. Same thing Maddie was saying. When we say we're recruiters and things like that, I always say we're more like consultants, because when I was doing a recruiting call back in the day, it's like I wanted option A, B, and C. It's like, what's your primary, what's your secondary, and what's your third? With the new grad, it's that we want to make your first placement be successful for you and the client. We don't want you to go into a situation where you're going to fail. And I know Maddie has a mentor program. We work with some of the best PTs out there, and so we try to match them up with somebody we know if they have a question for, if on site or exterior, if they're out in the field, they can reach out to those guys. So it honestly, like I said, consultant, recruiter, whatever you want to, when we do that initial call, we are getting exactly what they want. And A might not be there, but B will be there. But if A might be something we're a little, because it's location but not setting, we try to get to a common medium.
Yeah. So you're there to make sure that is a match. That's a fit. That's going to be better for framing yourself as a consultant.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. 13 weeks. It kind of feels like that's along as some clinical rotations. It kind of feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw out something that I heard, and then you guys just respond. We didn't script this at all. Travel physical therapy as a new grad, definitely don't do that. That's a horrible idea.
Yeah, no.
So
absolutely do it as a new grad. Yeah, no, I feel like potentially of all times in your career, when you're right out of school, you potentially have the least amount of responsibilities. Maybe you don't own a house yet, you don't have a family, you're not planting your roots anywhere quite yet, and you may not know what you want to do long term. So I think as a new grad, the way we staff our new grads and help them find their positions, it's the perfect time to do it. Yeah. So you can, like Don said, we have a mentorship program. We really try to find that perfect fit based on your preferences. And so it gives you the first couple of years of your career, if you want to, a time to really see the country, figure out where you want to live permanently, figure out what setting you like or what you don't like, and then you can jump into something different. But there's no long-term commitment with travel either way. So even if you try it with us once and you're like, I don't love this, that's okay. You're not committed to us for more than one position.
Yep.
We're happy to help you find something else.
I've also heard it not only like in setting with your career, but you touched on that, Maddie, which is like, hey, if I'm from New York and I'm thinking about going to the Pacific Northwest, instead of maybe flying out there for a couple weeks and checking it out, what about taking an assignment and really, because a lot of things are great for a weekend or a week, right? Especially when you're like the new guy in town. It's like, great. How do you really get that new guy rind off of you to figure out like, hey, would I really like to move and relocate here? Do you see people kind of test driving areas, and why not get paid while you do it?
Sure. I'm sure Don has tons of stories, but when I talk to new grads, I always call it the try it before you buy it, because you can really get into a location or a setting in those 13 weeks. We often have contracts that are extended to where you could even stay somewhere for 6 months, 9 months, and then you can really test out the location. But Don, I know that you have like a lot of people that will end up going permanent because they fell in love with the place.
So I think of it this way. It's like, and this is on even the client side. It's like, okay, if they go do 13 weeks, right? They get out there and it's not a great fit for them, or it's not a great fit for the client, whatever it may be. But what if you go into a perm job and it's not a good fit, and you're like, now you feel like you're kind of locked into it. And it's like a travel job is, hey, I'm there for 3 months. I'm building my resume as a new grad to go on to the next one. I don't need to stay here. I can go somewhere else. And so I always say it's a resume builder. First off, you're making pretty good money, starting to pay down your loans and things like that. You're going to a place you've never been before. And I don't have to stay here long term. I can go somewhere else.
Yeah, I love that. Questions and comments, if you're watching the broadcast live or on replay, we can always make sure we can get these the comments to these guys. If you have something pointed and specific, drop that on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube down below. Now, I will, you open the door there, Don. People always say like, well, travel therapy, man, you make bank. Fact or fiction? Like, what's the deal there? Let's talk about money.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with, really, it's driven by the client. Okay, so people say, I want to go to, let's say, and I'm just being theoretical, let's go to the Bay, San Francisco. Yeah, bill rate might be high or whatever it may be. And they're like, sweet, well, cost of living's huge. So you go somewhere rural, bill rate might be lower, cost of living's lower. So in the end, it really does equal out. You're going to have people that just want to be in big city. You're going to have people that want to be in rural. and there's always a middle point too, where it kind of sits there, and it's up to the recruiter to see them. Everybody being up front with them, explaining, okay, you want this, but we have this. It's the setting, it's the location, it's your pay. But even if you go out there, you're going to pay way more in housing. So it's just being, I guess, knowledgeable about the area, the stipends, the tax-free money, the hourly, and everything up front, so there's no surprises in the end.
That's something.
Go ahead, Maddie.
I was going to say that's something that Fusion has really switched over when we talk about pay packages, because there definitely are ways that you can make a lot of money as a traveler. You just have to be savvy about it.
Yep.
A couple perks. I mean, will we reimburse for licenses? You do get a housing stipend if you choose to take it. If you're traveling somewhere that you can be a little less aggressive with your housing, maybe you can save more money that way. But with our pay packages in general, we are making them extremely transparent. That's something that we hear so often, is that you have to jump through so many hoops to get a pay package or to get details on pay. And that's something that Fusion has really taken a lot of time over the last 2 years, I want to say, is where we've really made pay very transparent. So you know exactly what you're making, what your take home is, and then you can go back and be like, is that going to work in my finances? Yes, cool, let's proceed. If not, let's go back to the drawing board and find something else. So it just kind of depends on how you travel. And if you do it savvily and correctly, you can bring home a pretty penny, especially for new grads who, don't have an income.
and accuracy. So when they get their pay, you're not getting a phone call saying, hey, you told me this and it's this. As long as everything's up front and they understand, you'll avoid any conflict with that.
And that's what you guys have. That's on that website, right? FusionMedStaff.com, which is transparency. People want information. We are now at this point hardwired that I can pretty much ask this device in my pocket any question within reason, and I'm going to get an answer back pretty quick. And I think it just shows that you guys heard that from enough people who are interested or curious, and that was a roadblock. So you guys just said, well, let's remove that roadblock. And it sounds like transparency is something that was really important. So you made sure you had that baked into the pie.
Absolutely. Yeah, we take so much time to listen to our current travelers and just the travel market in general to see what people are looking for. And we do as much as we possibly can for our clients. But if we didn't have travelers, we wouldn't be a company. So we need to listen to our travelers too. So they were asking for pay transparency, and we were able to make that happen. They were asking for less unknowns. We're trying to put everything we possibly can into all of our positions, so then they know what they're getting into before they even interview for the job. They can get as many details as possible.
How do you know if it's right? If you don't have all the details,
right,
make sure you do a good subjective exam. And that's it's an interview with a patient or a prospective travel situation. All right, one more question I'll throw your way. Then we'll bring in our ace in the hole, our secret guest for today, because you guys are experts, but we want to hear from some people who've been doing this.
Yeah.
Other factors to consider. I always like to service like hodgepodge category. What are the things we haven't brought up? We brought up pay, length, and how it works, most of it. But what are some of the things like licensing, like health insurance? My mom was always like yelling at me, make sure that job health insurance. I'm a traveler, 13 weeks. So how would you rapid fire answer some of these things, which kind of go in the potpourri category?
Sure. So with Fusion, we reimburse for any new licenses you need for assignments you take with us. We pay for you to go to the assignment. Like I mentioned before, we have the housing stipends, meal per diems are all into your pay package. For new grads, we have a mentorship program that's pretty extensive that we've put a lot of effort in over the last couple of years to make sure that it really is benefiting the new grads in their first 6 months as a traveler. We also have a new grad bonus. Everyone loves a little free money. We have that in there too. Gotta love that. Pay back your student loans.
Don't you know that?
Yeah, for benefits, everything that you would get at a permanent position, you get through Fusion as a traveler. So medical, dental, vision, PTO, 401k, all of the things your parents are telling you to do, else you have to do it. Yep.
And there's someone there to make sure to walk me through this, right? Because that was one thing I heard, like, am I gonna have to navigate all these things? And that's, you guys have been there and done that for a while. You're walking these travelers right through that process to make sure it's a good one.
Yep.
From start to finish. Yep. I mean, we try to take every aspect of travel through the ringer as we're talking to anyone who's interested in travel, especially new grads who are so new to the industry. So we walk through every little aspect that they might be going through. And, we have a benefits department if they want to talk about benefits. We have a clinical team if they have any random questions they want to ask. And then, of course, the recruiters are their experts in the industry, and they can help with anything too.
Mentorship, benefits, licensing, which a lot of times you're like, oh yeah, I'm changing states. I need a new license. Process work. You guys cover all those things.
401k too, which is great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, start putting that away. So this is all great, right? Maddie and Dom, this is what you guys do, right? So this is your jam.
Yeah.
But it would be good to hear from someone who doesn't work for the Fusion, either recruiting or marketing, to look for a therapist, which is why we have our special guest in here, Rachel White, physical therapist who's been doing travel PT. Rachel,
how's it going?
Rachel, tell us a little bit about you. What's your superhero backstory? How long you been a PT, and where have you worked?
So I graduated from the University of Nebraska Medical Center in 2019 with my DPT and jumped right into travel after that. So you're talking about new grad traveling. That's me. I jumped right on into it. And I kind of actually ended up in a state that I never really pictured myself in. And now I've been here for kind of off and on for about the past year or so. I went down to Carlsbad, New Mexico, Clovis, New Mexico, and then I just finished my contract over in Roswell with the aliens over there. So it's been kind of a wild ride, to say the least.
Cool. All right, so let's go through this with you, since you're someone who's literally been there and done that.
Yeah, of course.
When was your first exposure to travel PT, and then why'd you decide to pull the trigger on that as a new grad when you're not supposed to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I had spoken with Fusion when I was a student. They had come to, one of the booth days that we had. And I had been considering travel for a while. I'm a very adventurous spirit. I love getting outdoors and hiking and adventuring. I love trying new things and going to new places. And obviously I love being a PT. And I just started to realize that travel brings those two things together. I think when they say, don't travel as a new grad, that person's like putting their limitations on you. They're saying, don't do it because we don't think that we could do that. But I don't think that's the case for everyone.
Right. I mean, well, you mentioned something about yourself a second ago, and I want to make sure the audience didn't miss that. You said, I'm an adventurous spirit. So ask yourself some questions, right, Maddie? I mean, and Don, I'm sure when you're saying, Don's like, I'm not a recruiter, I'm a consultant. You're saying, like, tell me about yourself. Like, would being in a new environment, how would that rate? How would you feel being in a new environment? It sounds like, Rachel, it's a good fit. The position, the entire travel experience sounds like you thought about it and you're saying, hey, this is going to be a good fit. How was your first assignment? Like, hey, new grad, what's up? And now I fly to a new state that I never thought I'd be in, and here I am.
It was pretty cool with Fusion. I think one of my favorite things is, especially as a new grad, they keep that in mind when they're placing you. So they made sure that where they placed me was new grad friendly, that they were aware as a new grad that there are other therapists on site there. I was a rehab hospital getting to see some really amazing cases, and I actually ended up having like an immediate group of friends there. There happened to be a handful of Fusion travelers there, actually. So like day one, I had like this group of friends that to this day I'm really close with. And I'm actually at my friend's house here right now.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
We love to hear that.
So you did you say, I lost count, did you just do 3 in a row?
I took some time off in between, and then COVID had some effects on it as well. But yeah, I've done 3 here in New Mexico so far.
Totally an option, as Maddie mentioned at the top of the show. It's not the Army. It's not like, hey, tomorrow report to this place. You're like, hey, this is my life, and I'm going to make sure I'm in charge of it. I mean, I've talked to people on the show before who were like, I do winters in Colorado, and I've done summers in Hawaii. And then go back to Colorado, and then summers and on the Cape and back to Colorado. So you really can. I mean, just choose your own adventure. It really is one of those things.
Very much so.
What's something that surprised you, right? So you were prepared, right? Fusion's talking you through this, but what's something you walked in, you were like, oh wow, I didn't see this coming?
I think the 2 biggest things that have surprised me this whole time, number one has been the connections I've made. I've made some like really close friends either with travelers that are in my area or with other PTs, OTs, speech pathologists that have been there. And I've been able to then, the second thing, grow so much from those people around me. I think like the growth and the confidence that I've gotten from travel is something that I knew would probably happen, but I didn't even realize it was going to be to this extent, to be honest.
But how can that be, Rachel? Because when I was a PT student, I never heard words like grow and experience and things like that. I was also told like, no, definitely don't do that because you won't do those things. And it sounds like quite the opposite happened to you.
Yeah. And I think with that too, I went into it, I was told those exact same things like, oh, as a new grad, I don't know if that's the best thing for you. You want to make sure you're growing. You want to make sure you're staying on top of the research and you're not losing any skills. And I went into it very intentionally. Like I'm going to reach out. I have, friends from PT school I reach out with hard cases and we talk through them. I stay up to date on my continuing ed and I like reach out and find the continuing ed that really makes me passionate for what I'm doing. So I just think that you have to go into it very intentionally to make sure you're growing.
I mean, you mentioned that before. It was said that maybe that's a little bit of someone's own psychology being placed on you. If someone's like, "Oh, definitely don't do that," maybe that's coming from like a place in them where they couldn't see themselves doing that. I mean, your professional network, your ability to access people. I mean, that's changed, right? I don't think I need to remind people in the last 12 months that we can access and be connected in different ways. So Rachel kind of just going around and hitting all the different corners of New Mexico is completely possible without losing any connection. I did not mean to not ask. What are we drinking tonight? What's in the can?
Oh, I am drinking Love Street Blonde. It's from a Texas brewery. Stole it out of my friend's fridge.
There you go.
and Jimmy, she's headed to Payson with one of my clients in a couple of weeks, which is pretty cool.
There you go.
I'm excited.
I think Rachel's a cool traveler just because sometimes people think, oh, I'm going to have to crisscross the country and go all over the place and pack up and move and do thousands of miles. Well, I mean, if you pick a good state or the right time or whatever the case is, or you're in a good spot where Fusion has a lot of contracts, you don't have to make it a very aggressive move. You can just kind of circle around a certain area, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. I love that. How does that make you two feel? Maddie, Don, like how does it make you feel hearing what Rachel's saying, which is like, hey, I jumped in with this. I kind of knew I was experienced, but I had a great experience. And obviously she had, because she wouldn't have come back the second, third time and still going. How does that make you feel as people who get to kind of consult and be a part of that?
Maddie, I'll jump in just because I've worked with a lot of new grads and I still have some of them working for me. And I'm talking 3-4 years after they did it and they still travel and they have not gone perm. And that feeling in the relationships and even the ones that have gone perm after that point, super close with. I mean, when they go perm, it doesn't mean that our relationship ends there. It's like they're sending me pictures and they're getting married and they're sending me stuff. So it's just a lifelong friendship, even though they're not with Fusion. That's fine. It's like we had a great relationship when you were here, and now it doesn't have to stop at that point.
It sounds like guidance counselory, right? Which really it is. You're counseling, you're guiding, and leading someone to where they maybe didn't know where they wanted to go, like I don't know, Roswell, New Mexico. But they get there and they're like, "Wow, I did not see this coming in such a great way." Maddie, how does it make you feel? Does it give you all the warm and fuzzies?
Oh my gosh, so many warms and fuzzies. I mean, Rachel, I remember taking her out to happy hour with a bunch of her classmates or being at one of her career fairs. I think we did maybe 2 of them. And it's just cool to see, like, have it come full circle just because I primarily work with new grads and I'm that just first introduction of who Fusion is. And, we go through all the bells and whistles of what about this? What about this? And then when it kind of finally happens, it's very exciting to see, especially when they stay on for a couple of assignments and their goals are actually coming true. So, and then I love that Rachel keeps in touch with all of the other Fusion travelers. I know it sounds very cheesy, but we do call it a Fusion family. And it's not just our internal employees, it's also our travelers. So we try to connect our travelers together, whether they're at the same location or close by. We try to get people connected as much as possible because sometimes it's your network that can get you through a tough assignment or a weird spot. Maybe you just need some friends to get you through it. And that's what we're here for.
This doesn't sound forced, and I'm being told where I need to go at all. I mean,
right?
No point. Rachel, blink 2 times if they're telling you to say all these things.
Don't you blink, Rachel?
I'm not going to blink. Keeping them open.
Let's go around the horn, right? I want to hear the top reasons why specifically new grads should try travel therapy. We'll go to Maddie, We'll go with Don and then Rachel. Each of you give me one. Why should a new grad specifically, when I was in school, it's definitely don't do that. But you're going to give us reasons why you definitely should. What do you got?
I think a new grad should travel for the experience. I think whether it's a location or a setting, or just really flipping the script and trying something new, I think the experience, whether it's good or bad and you love it or you hate it, I think it's something different. And there's so many good networking opportunities for travelers. So I think as a new grad, like I said before, you're probably in a good spot to pick up and move, and you can have a really fun experience with it.
All right, Don, good luck following that one up, man.
Well, so I will always say this. When I talk to somebody, I always say variety is setting, because somebody, like I said before, it's hard for you to say, I want to do this and not try other things. And then, so variety, location, places you haven't seen before, and obviously monetary money. And I don't want it to be about money, but you have 6-month grace period when you get out of school. So the money's good. It helps pay off loans. You're seeing places you haven't seen before, and variety of patients that you might not have seen in clinicals and things like that. And we can get clients to, if it's not in your clinical, we'll get you there. We'll have the mentorship, the orientation, and learn something you may not be familiar with.
Love it. All right, Rachel, the answer cannot be because you live near.
I know we covered a lot. Sorry.
You had to leave me to last. No, I think one of the biggest things for me when I was, traveling as a new grad, and I've already said this, but just like the growth and the confidence that comes with that. I think as a student, I struggled with always having a clinical instructor like over my shoulder watching me at all times. And I was, being able to travel just as a PT really gave me a different kind of confidence I don't know that I would have if I had gone perm. I think the growth that comes with it, and sometimes just being kind of thrown in and just saying, go for it. And I don't know, like it made confidence I don't think I otherwise would have had.
Love that. All right, let's
get
really specific. It's 2021. What does the travel market look like right now? We are now living, I have to say this, right? Unprecedented times, right? How are things as we stand right now, as we record here in late February, in terms of opportunities? What does it look like, Maddie? What does it look like, Don?
Do you want me to take that, Maddie?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. So funny enough, you said that. Me and Maddie talked about it, but me and Mark, we were co-managers of our division, and we went through the tough times. So March 16th of last year, let's say, it literally dropped off. We battled through to, I don't know, I would say the turn for us was late November into December, which December generally is a slower time for us. We started noticing something, and I was like, this is usually our tough time of year, and it started spiking. So our growth in needs and placements and things grew by 35% from the end of November into January, and it keeps going up. The jobs went from, I think they're up 65, 70%.
Yeah.
The two things that were pretty consistent throughout this whole deal were home health and skilled nursing. They were always there. They weren't really going up, but they never really went down. We lost a lot of outpatient. We lost a lot of hospital positions and things like that. They're starting to come back. Elective surgeries are going back up. All the things that, COVID took away, we're seeing a spike, and we're seeing a growth within our divisions. So it's a good thing.
I was gonna say, you guys mentioned reasons for why a travel PT would be needed, and one of those was maternity leave. I'm going to say a lot of people had a lot of home time.
Yes, you're right there.
Like about 9 months after that spike in people just being at home, might also see a spike 9 to 12 months later in terms of need out there. That's got to feel good, Maddie, right? Like, now you've got these graduates from the last class and the class coming up, and now you're saying, great, we're going to have positions for you guys. Get ready. Yep. Get that suitcase ready to go, right?
For sure. I mean, I meet students when they still have a year or two before they graduate. So leading up to COVID, we're like, we have this plan, we have this idea, travel 100%, and then COVID hit, and we're like, crap, like what do we do now? So that's where we just stay in touch, and we're like, hey, find whatever you can find. we're not here to hinder you and have you just sit on your hands and wait for a travel job. Let's be realistic. So get some local experience, find something perm. Travel will always be here. We'll ride the roller coaster, and then when it's done, let's bring you back into the Fusion family. So I know, like Dawn said, definitely the beginning of this year, January, February into March, we're seeing a lot more options for new grads, but for just seasoned therapists in general. So we're getting a lot of those new grads from last summer come back to us, which we're so happy about, because I mean, I can't imagine what they were going through, having, 4, 5 years of their life trying to think about travel. But just the year or two that I kept in touch with them, it was definitely a rough couple of conversations, just trying to help them through their career choices.
Love it. All right. If someone's nodding along right now, either live or they're listening to the episode on the podcast, what should they do if they're like, all right, you've got my interest piqued, I would like to know more. Maddie, Don, where do you want them to go? What do you want them to do? How do you want them to get in touch with you?
Sure. So whether you're a new grad or a practicing therapist, just reach out. We have so many different social channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our website has been redone over the last couple of years. We continue to upgrade our transparency on our website, our job searching capabilities. So definitely check our website out. You can reach out to myself or John, and we can answer any questions that you have. But I feel like even if you have an inkling of being interested, just talk to us. Let's just have a conversation. We're not here to pressure anyone into doing something. We more or less want to give the resources and be that resource to talk about travel. If you want to get into it, great. If not, that's okay. At least you learned more.
Yeah, and that's what you want. You want a right fit. For the podcast audience who can't see it on the screen, the website is fusionmedstaff.com, as well as on the socials. We're going to do 3 questions. Are you ready? That's rhetorical. We're doing it anyway. Let's do it. Questions is brought to you by, look at that, Fusion Medical Staffing. Wouldn't you know? Check it out, medstaff.com. You are free to move about the country with your career. Job transparency, as you heard Maddie talk about, and the market in 2021. Things are on the upswing. We like that. Things going up. So check them out online, fusionmedstaff.com, #TravelPTs. We're going to go around the horn, 3 questions. We'll go Maddie, Don, and Rachel. So you got to do rapid fire. 3
Rachel's like, I got to do 30 again, don't I?
Yeah, come on. What is this?
Come on, guys.
First question is a where question, right? With travel, physical therapy being the focus tonight. Once it's kind of safe to travel, for vacation and for fun, where in the 50 US do you want to go? Maddie, where are you going?
I'm going to say Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
I had a laundry list of places I was supposed to go for work, and Portland, Maine to the University of New England was one of them, and I was very mad about it. So I'm going to hit up that area of the country for sure.
Up there. Don, where we headed, man?
Sholo, Arizona. Just right down the road from where Rachel's going from.
And Rachel, a lot of New Mexico time, but once you can pick where you want to go, what do you think?
For fun, I want to hit up Zion National Park. I love hiking. I love getting outdoors, and that's one of the ones I haven't been to yet in Utah. So that is top of the list easily.
You look at that. You got Maine, all those different places you guys just mentioned. There are people in all those locations, and with people, physical therapists, and Fusion can get you there. FusionMedStaff.com, again, is that website. Second question is a what question. What is something that you've watched, read, or listened to, book, movie, podcast, that you just think the audience would get value from? What's something you'd recommend?
I have to go first.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you, Jimmy. We did talk about this.
Dawn and I did think about this, and we're like, okay, let's make sure that we don't give some fluff answer like our most recent Netflix binge, which is Night Stalker and all of the creepy stuff that makes us look like psychos.
Although, I'm sure Rachel can attest, when you're settling into something new, you kind of want that consistent. I find myself if things are new, if I'm doing a new project, I actually go back to The Office or something.
Right.
I need that stability. So
Seinfeld.
Right. Seinfeld. Count on it. It makes you feel centered. So Maddie, what's your what?
If I'm going to go back to something really basic, it's probably going to be New Girl. I think New Girl makes me laugh every single time. It's so lighthearted. It's a good show.
Love it. All right, Don, what's your what? What's something you think the audience should watch, listen to, or
well, I mean, I watched Seinfeld quite a bit, and I watched The Office quite a bit.
You're aging yourself, Don.
No, yeah, those are if you come home from a day or want to decompress, those are the shows that take that away. So
love it. Rachel, what's something you think the audience could get value from?
Well, as a student with lots of student loans, now a PT with a lot of student loans, I have actually been spending a lot of my time learning about like my finances, trying to get a control of that. So I've actually gotten really deep into the Choose FI podcast. So it's all about like financial independence and figuring out how to control like 401ks and retirement accounts. And I'm just trying to get all of that figured out. And I mean, travel has helped me tremendously, but also trying to like sit down and figure out budgeting and retirement accounts is just get complete control of my financial future too.
Choose FI. It's brilliant. We talked about that on the show before. Last question, 3 questions is a who question. Who is someone the audience you think should know more about? Maddie, who's someone that deserves like a shout out?
Sure. So thinking about this, I don't think I have a specific person, but if we're going to be on brand here, I think that if you were just to go on to Instagram, Facebook, any social media site, and you just Google travel PT, there are so many amazing influencers or just people that really document their journey as travel therapists. And whether they're fusion travelers or not, I feel like they really show a story of how your potential adventure and career could be. So I would say just kind of Google travel PTs.
And that's why people like Rachel hear it from this person who's who's someone the audience should know more about.
Well, we kind of talked about it too, and I was a little bit confused by it, but I have a lot of past travelers and stuff and current travelers that do a lot, and I won't name names because I don't know if I didn't ask them if I could, but one's a professional mountain biker, but she does 6 months a year doing that and then does 2 contracts. So, and it's just fun. And I showed Maddie her Instagram and it's like super cool. So it's just, I probably don't want to say her name because I didn't ask her, but I mean, it's just seeing those things where if they're not treating or they're not on assignment, this is what they love doing. They love getting out there and climbing mountains and rappelling and riding a bike up something I would be completely frightened of.
And you could design a career and it can be what you want it to be. And I love when people say like, well, could it really, or is this like an outlier? It's like, go look, they're out there. Rachel, who's someone in the audience you know more about?
I would actually say one of my favorite continuing ed companies, it's like the one that has really pushed our profession forward and I keep up with pretty closely, is Ice Physio. They do daily podcasts. They have fantastic continuing ed courses. I think that they're doing a really good job of just promoting where our profession should be going with research, with manual therapy techniques. And I think everybody should just check them out.
Love it. All right. That's 3 questions powered by our friends at Fusion Medical Staffing, fusionmedstaff.com, #TravelPT. It is now time for the parting shot. Big awards ceremony from our friends at the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy. Their awards during CSM are on Friday. We'll be hosting that. Find them online at orthopt.org. And listen, if you're looking to level up your orthopedics game, who better than the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy? I have a great course. A lot of people used this last year to dive in and possibly take that OCS exam. Maybe you're thinking about it for next year. Sign up for it. A perfect way to get from where you are to a confident and prepared clinician to take that OCS exam is Current Concepts of Orthopedic Physical Therapy. It's one of their independent study courses. So find out the details on that. Go download resources, whatever, at orthopt.org, the Academy of Orthopedic Physical Therapy. So parting shot, no pressure or anything, but this is your chance for like a mic drop moment. The last thing we'll let you leave the audience with. We'll go in the same order. Maddie, John, Rachel, what's your parting shot, Maddie? What do you got?
Sure. So mine's going to be to new grads. And what I want to say is just reach out. If you have any inkling of interest in travel therapy, or you just want to learn more, it's a no pressure conversation with our student outreach coordinator, Melanie, and she can go through some of the basics of travel to see if it's something you would be interested in. But you're not going to lose anything if you just ask some questions.
Maddie's parting shot. Shoot your shot, man. Just ask a question. There you go. Don, you're up. Parting shot. What do you got?
My thought on this is anybody that had fear of traveling from, I don't know, the last 9-10 months, the job market is there now. It is picking up. The jobs that we are getting on a daily basis, not only from direct clients and VMS or partnering rehab companies, it's there. And if that's something you want to do, definitely get in touch with us.
Love it. All right, Rachel, in New Mexico right now, your parting shot, give it a rip.
I would say, especially if you're considering travel and you decide to do it, just realizing just to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. I think that's something that I've really grown into, is that, sometimes you're going to be in situations that are just completely out of your comfort zones, but that is where just so much growth can occur. So being willing to just sit in that uncomfortableness and learn from it and be comfortable in that.
I'm also noticing the Northeast. It's cold here. It's great. I'm looking back now.
Right.
I don't know if you can see that, but that's like blue sky. You said
yeah, it's been pretty nice overall. I did have frozen pipes during my last week of my contract. Not gonna lie, but now it's warmed up, so I'm good.
Jackpot. And I heard a quote, or I saw a quote somewhere that was bouncing around just today, and it made me think of this episode. And I've said it before, which is, you didn't come this far to only come this far, right? So if you've gone through PT school, first of all, you got in, you got through, you graduated, right? And now you're saying, well, I'll just not do the thing I want to do right now. Don't do that. You didn't come this far to only come this far. FusionMedStaff.com. Appreciate you guys coming in. You guys are coming back in a couple months, and I want to get into specifics. So more FAQs. So start thinking and kind of collecting those ideas of what people need to know to be the best travel physical therapist in the world. Let's get the greatest in the world.
No pressure.
No pressure. All right, Maddie, Don, Rachel, appreciate you guys stopping by. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jimmy. This has been
fun. Thank you so much.